We are back at it again, THS Algebra 1. This is Mr. Cockburner. Solving literal equations. It sounds pretty difficult, but you know what? It's actually less work than you think. That's going to be my sell to you. It's less work than actually solving equations. Literal equation. What is a literal equation? It means that there is more than one letter that is going to be solved for or could possibly be solved for. Our major concept that we're going to need to pay attention to as well is inverse operations. So what does that mean? It means do the opposite. So when we solve an equation, we are going to just do the opposite of what it's telling us, which should be pretty good because you guys are used to doing that. Like, hey, sit down and you stand up, or hey, stop talking and you keep talking. That kind of stuff is an inverse operation, all right? So first one, what is a literal equation? We already kind of went over it. It's an equation with multiple variables where you can be asked to solve for just one of those variables. It's usually like in a science formula or like geometry, okay? So I know we're in algebra 1. However, it's going to be nice to get this done, practice, and out of the way. Again, to solve literal equations, it's going to be that distribute, combine, move the variable, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, or don't call me after midnight, little acronym to help us out. So regular equations, what we would do, how we would solve them would be, let's go with that orange. I kind of like that. X plus 1 equals 7. So there's no distributing. There's no combining like terms on the left or the right. It's no moving the variable because it's already on one side. We are already at don't call me after midnight, the after part. How do you move addition? How does positive 1 cross the road? Becomes negative 1. Whatever I do to the left, I do to the right. This is the road we're talking about. What is this flashcard? Plus 1 minus 1 gets you just 0, or X equals 7 minus 1 is 6. So there's your regular equation. For a literal equation, what you're going to do is, again, get X by itself. So what is on the same side of the equal sign is a positive Y. Well, don't call me after midnight. Distribute, combine like terms, left side, right side. We can't do those things yet. Move the variable. The variable's on the left already, so we don't have multiple x's, so we can't move any x's from left to right. And now we're already on after. The after is the addition or subtraction. Here's your inverse operation. What's the opposite of a plus y? How did a plus y cross the road? It became a negative y. Whatever you do to the left, you do to the right. The nice thing about these problems is this is going to get us 0. We're going to get x equals, and now we have 7 minus y, or negative y plus 7. It doesn't matter how you write it. I'm just going to write it that way, 7 minus y. And guess what? You are done. It says the magical words. X is what you're solving for. It should say x equals, which it does. X equals 7 minus y. Why can't you combine these two? You can't combine them because one's a constant and one's a variable. They're two separate things. So again, it's x equals 7 minus y, or we can write it as the negative y first and the positive second, or 7 second. All right, this is probably going to be more what you would see just due to the fact that constants always go at the end. All right, so again, we're done. I know we want to solve these further to say x equals something. It does. It equals negative y plus 7. All right, let's look at another one. Regular equation, 2x plus 1 equals 7. Don't call me after midnight. Distribute, can't do. Combine like terms, you can't do. Move the variable, you don't have to because there's only one side of the equation with the variable. So we are already going to be after midnight, the last two steps. So we're going to do the addition or the inverse operation of addition. And we're going to get 2x on the left. That gets me 0. What is 7 minus 1? 6. Midnight is multiplication or division, so we're dividing here. 2 divided by 2 is 1, or x. 6 divided by 2 is 3. All right, so this hopefully is getting a little bit easier for you. Now, as you can see, we're not going step by step to solve these. However, I just want to show you that that's what we've been used to doing. Now we're solving for what letter? B. So where's B? It's attached to A through multiplication, and plus c is on that same side. So this a is its best friend, okay? So we're going to say that a to the n. Let's move c to the other side. How do you move c to the other side? It's addition. How do you undo addition? So again, a is going to stay with b for right now. We're going to subtract c from both sides, and we're going to get d minus c. D minus C, you can't do anything. They're different variables, right? So we can't combine them. So we're going to have AB equals D minus C. And again, you could have negative C plus D. It doesn't matter how you write them. If you want to have in alphabetical order, you can. However, it doesn't matter. How do you undo A times B? What's the opposite or the inverse of multiplication? Division. What is A divided by A? 1. So it's going to be 1 times B or just B. What did I do to that whole left side? I do to the other side. So I'm going to divide that by A. So I'm going to get D minus C all over A. All right. Another way you can see this written is B equals D divided by A minus C divided by A. All right. So both of these answers that we have here are good quality answers. And again, even if you flip-flop the negative C and the positive D, you could do it that way too. Again, this looks weird because there's no numbers. But with no numbers becomes easier because you can't solve it any further, right? It is what it is. Most of us would probably just be happy with this portion right there. Again, if we're going too quickly, stop, pause, rewind, listen, and if you still can't get it after the second, third, fourth time doing it, email, all right? Call for help. You need help? We got your back. Don't worry, all right? So now this whole side is being multiplied by 3, right? This whole side over here is multiplying by 3. What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So what I'm going to do is divide that whole side by 3. And whenever I do the left, I do to the right because it's only fair. Those are the rules. What is 3 divided by 3? 1. So it's just going to be x plus 2 is left over here. 15 divided by 3 is 5. I'm going to subtract 2. Hopefully we don't need the whole don't call me after midnight every problem. So now with the literal equation, you see an A, you see an L, you see a W. They're telling us here we need to solve for this little fella right here, which is inside of parentheses, and it's also being doubled. So let's take away that double, because whatever I do to the left, I'm going to divide this by 2. So now I'm going to get L plus W, and my parentheses will drop and go away. And then I'm going to get A divided by 2 over here. I can't simplify that because A, I don't know what value it is. If they told me A was 30, it'd be easy. 30 divided by 2 is 15. But since I don't know the area, I just leave it as A. All right? Now, I still have this L plus W. How do I get a positive L away from W? That's it. Subtract L. All right? Subtract L from both sides because whatever you do to the one side, you do to the other side. Now, this is weird because I can't do anything crazy with this. A divided by 2 is already here. Minus L equals W. All right? So it looks kind of crazy, and it's a separate term because A and L's can't be combined, okay? And you're like, hey, what about that 2? Numbers can go with that division problem, and it's only going to go to that A that was over there. So it's whatever you have for your area, you cut it in half and then subtract L from it, all right? Any questions? Again, pause it, rewind it, and when in doubt, ask for help. All right, regular equation. X minus 1 divided by 3. Holy smokes, that whole left side is being divided by 3. No big deal. What's the opposite of division? Multiplication. So we're going to multiply this whole side by 3. We're going to multiply this whole side by 3 because whatever you do to the left, you do to the right. Now, these 3 divided by 3 If we rearrange them, 3 over 3 is 1. So now those are going to simplify to 1. 1 times x minus 1 is x minus 1. Now we get 12 times 3 on top over here is 36 over 1. How do you undo subtracting 1? Adding 1. So we get x equals 37. Same thing here. We're going to get w by itself. So here's w. It's being divided by y and also subtracted by x. How do you undo a division problem? Just like we did over here, we brought it to the top. So we're going to bring y to the top. And these simplify because y over y equals 1. All right? So when we do that, we're going to be left on the left side with w minus x. And then whatever we did to the left, we do to the right. Sorry, this is kind of difficult over there. We get z times y. All right, and I'm just lazy and I don't put that dot there because mathematicians are intelligently lazy. Hopefully you will be intelligently lazy after this. So this is the z times y. And I'm getting w, so I have to, what's the opposite of a subtracting an x? I add x. I'm going to add x over here. This gets me 0 and just w all by itself isolated. Z times y plus x. That's exactly what you have to write. Z times y plus x. That x doesn't combine because it's its own term. When you combine like terms, you keep them separated unless they are like terms. So we're just going to write the terms w equals z y plus x. Call it a day. It looks weird. I know it's odd, but they're just letters, so we can't do anything until we know what each of those letters' values are. All right? And again, that's what we talked about with the science formulas and geometry formulas. They're going to give us values to substitute in and make it a little bit easier to solve for w. Regular equation, x divided by 3 plus 2 equals 10. How do we do this? So x is being divided by 3. We're going to wait to do that division of 3 because it's not the whole left side. It's just that variable that has that happening to it. So let's get rid of that addition. Oop, drop my pen. Don't call me after midnight, so we're going to start with that addition. And we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. To treat it fairly, we get x divided by 3 equals 10 minus 2 is 8. How do you undo division of 3? We multiply by 3. That simplifies to 1. We multiply by 3. We get x equals 24. All right? And if you don't believe me, again, you can just plug these in. 24 divided by 3 plus 2. What is this flashcard? 8. 8 plus 2 equals 10. We know that's a true statement. Literal equation, I like to highlight my e. My e is in that numerator, all right? So I need to divide by g plus 5 equals h. How do I get rid of dividing g? Good, multiplying g. How do I get rid of a positive f? What's the opposite of addition? Subtraction, good. So I'm going to get e, g, and I'm going to subtract f from both sides, all right? H minus f is on the right side. Now, how do I multiply by g? What's that look like? Just like that. So now I'm going to get E equals H minus F times G. Again, this takes some practice, and obviously just doing a couple slides isn't going to be the, enough probably for a lot of us. It takes practice, it takes time, and especially when you're mixing a bunch of letters with numbers, it's kind of weird, I know. And since you haven't mathed in a while, same thing, it's going to be a little bit more of a struggle. But you know what? We will get through it, we will practice it, and we'll help you out. Last but not least, if it's being squared. All right. How do we solve it? Add 5. Remember, don't call me after midnight. Those rules all apply. I'm just flying through this. I know. Because we're just adding these flashcards up. That one got me 0, so that's isolating that 2x squared. 45 plus 5 is 50. Divide both sides by 2. I get x squared equals 25. How do you undo a square? Yep, you take the square root of it. So it's square root both sides. And you get x is equal to plus or minus 5. So there's actually 2 answers there, hence the exponent of 2 also. All right, so now that we've done that, this is like the only new skill that we're doing is how to undo a square. It's just take the square root. All right, so let's try to do that to r here. What's happening to r right now? It's being multiplied by 4 times pi times r squared. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something crazy here. Because it's the same operation, I can get rid of them in one step. So what's 4 over 4? 1. What's pi over pi? 1. So what's 1 times r squared is just r squared. And I get a on the top and 4 pi on the bottom. How do you undo a square root? Or I'm sorry, a square. Good, square root it. You get r equals plus or minus the square root of 4. I'm sorry, of a divided by 4 pi. Any questions? I know it's quick. I know it's a difficult lesson, and we went through it rather quickly. However, practice makes perfect. We can give you a couple more probably slides in the links section for more practice if you need it. Look on Google Classroom in our Rainbow portfolio file, and you'll get your homework. All right, quick lesson today. Hopefully all is well, and I expect questions on this. Again, please text, remind if you need to, or email, or hit us up on Google Classroom. All right, again, take care. Peace out. Go Browns.